Okay, thank you. Appreciate being here tonight. As I mentioned before, I am a Bingham alumni. You know, so everything and Randy Brinkerhoff over there went to school with me. And we had our 50-year, what is it called? Reunion. After 50 years, you forget these things. Just last year. And it was so fun to get together with our small class. Can you imagine? I think we had 189, 190 kids graduate. And that's the whole west side of this Jordan, this two districts now. And so it was fun to remember. I just kept saying, where did all these old people come from? And where did all the hair go? But we had a good time. You know, it was a privilege to be the principal of Bingham High School. I don't know whether you still have the tradition that when the principal comes before the student body, they stand up and clap. Do they still do that here? And when the student body president comes before, they stand up and clap. And that was a tradition when I was going to school. And so when I stood up for the first time as the principal in front of the student body, and the whole student body stood up and clapped, I mean, it was great memories of my experiences at Bingham High School. What an honor that was. And my dear wife, you know, she said that she was the vice president. She said she did all the work, and it's pretty much true. You know, I had to go out, and I was on the basketball team and on track team and stuff like that, so all the basketball announcements and stuff she had to do, and she did so well, we decided to get married, and she's been telling me what to do ever since, so it's been good. What I also love about Bingham High School is how hard we've worked to keep that connection from the old to the new. When I was a principal, I got a letter one day, and I think it was was it Helen Peterson that had the old facade in her backyard? And she sent me a picture, and she had, when the old Bingham, which was up in, it's past Copperton, up in Bingham Canyon, when they were tearing it down, she somehow was able to get this piece off of the facade of the building, and she ended up putting it in her backyard for 20 years or 30 years. And anyway, she wrote me a letter and said, you know, would you like this? And of course I told Scott about it, and he was up there within about 30 seconds, had it sawed up and, you know, taken down, and I think we kept it behind the auditorium for a little while or someplace. I can't remember exactly. Yes. I'll link this together, okay? And so there was that, and then also I think the last year that Bingham was still open as a middle school, we used to have our homecoming dances up there, and it was so fun to go back up there and walk the halls where I was once famous and so on, and remember the dances and all of those sort of things. And when the school finally shut down, Scott once again said, you know, there's this beautiful mural there that we all used to stand in front of all the time. He went up and asked them if he could cut that out. How did you do that, Scott? Was it some sort of saws and stuff? It wasn't easy, I know. Manpower. So he tore that out of the Bingham High in Copperton, and also our class, Randy, the class of 64, we were the one that had the mosaic in the floor, and they also saved that, and it's here at the high school now. So those of us that are old timers really appreciate people like Scott, how that we've been able to connect. We can walk into this building, we can remember the old Bingham High, we can remember the Bingham High in Copperton, and we remember this wonderful school. And there's, you know, Lowell Hicks wrote the song about "We'll Always Remember." And these sort of things help us to always remember the wonderful things that we've had here. So my time as the principal here was another rapid growth. They were just opened up Copper Hills. Riverton was being built. We had 3,000 students. We had 14 portable classrooms. We had full halls of kids. But you know, it's amazing when I think back as few problems that we did have. I remember counting up all of the 1A schools in their total population. All of the 1A schools in the state had less of a population than we had here at Bingham High School. And you know, there was 20, 30 schools, I don't know how many there were. But not that many problems. It's because of the great people we have here. So all those portable classrooms, the parking was horrendous. I still feel like I should apologize maybe to your parents or somebody for all the cars we used to tow for not parking properly. But that was the difficult challenge. At that time, we went to the block schedule, which helped out quite a bit. When you only had 4 classes a day compared to 7, it seemed like I was always chasing kids back into class when we had 7. When we went to the 4 classes a day, it was much nicer. And then we were in the middle of technology changing. You know, we had some labs around, but most of our teachers didn't know how to use technology. And I remember we established a classroom upstairs with some computers in, and we decided that the teachers first needed to learn how to turn on a computer. And I remember George Sluga, Brad Bevan, who was the athletic director here forever, you know, they didn't even know how to turn on a computer. So we got some funding and taught the teachers, you know, at least how to use the computers. And of course, as you know now, the technology is wonderful. We also had the National Guard help wire the school for the technology. They did some volunteer work for that, so that was amazing. So the things I remember best, going to sporting events, and the great spirit, the Bingham, you know, rings forever. Lighting the bee after winning state championships. We did that many a times while I was here. Going to see the concerts and performances, the candlelight concert and the wonderful traditions of that. The first year I was here for the candlelight program, they actually had candles, and that was awfully scary. I think we had a couple of girls that got their hair burned, and you know, they were walking down there on these candles, and we ended up buying everybody those little battery-powered candles, and it was a lot safer. Also, the wonderful teachers that have been here at Bingham over the years. When I think back of you know, my teachers when I was in high school, what a great, dedicated group of people. And as a principal here, I found the same thing. And you know, Scott is a great example of what dedicated, hardworking teachers that I was able to work with. You know, when I left Bingham High School, it was a difficult decision for me. They asked me to open up Riverton High School. And the only thing that I could think of was they're at least the same kids, you know. These are the same kids that were at Bingham High. And it made it much easier for me to make that decision to go to Riverton. But my heart has always been here. And I've always been a great fan of the Bingham High School. The SBOs that I was able to work with over the years were just tremendous people, and I look around and see you folks today. Such great leaders, and I know how many hours that you put in to make sure that the school runs well. When you start having fundraising, when you start having homecoming, when you start having all these activities, I know that it takes many, many hours. I retired in, when was it, 2004. And then I got to come back and actually be the principal at Elk Ridge Middle School for 4 years. And that was a pretty neat opportunity because once again, I got to work with kids that were going to come to Bingham High School, and I can tell them about the great experiences they were about to have. So thank you once again. Thanks for having us here. I appreciate it. Wonderful evening, and I'll be forever, always remember Bingham High School.